What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the J Project channel. It's great to have everybody back here on today's project. Now, if you were with me on the last project, you already know what we're going to be doing this week, and that is finishing up around my grill and along the edge of my pathway here. If you didn't get a chance to watch my last video, go ahead and take your eyeballs back to the last video and give it a watch if you would like. If not, no big deal. We'll just carry on from here. I went back and forth on what I was going to do to finish up the edge of my pathway here. I was going to lay some mulch down and going to put some topsoil down and let it grow grass. I was going to go to the Home Depot, get the river rocks from the bag river rocks, but that's pretty expensive. So what I decided to do for along here was just go down into my creek and pull some rocks out. And for my grill, I already had this already figured out for a while now. I got some more of them big stones. I can go out in my woods and pull them. I got more of the 4x4. And I always draw a blank on these things too. Landscaping timbers. There we go. And man, do I gotta start putting things back where they belong, because it's I just have a bad habit of plopping things down, and you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks later, finally come and picking it back up. But anyways, enough jibber jammer and yammer yammer, and let's jump into today's project. Stone dead. Of course it is. Guess I gotta go get the other tractor and give it a jump. Alright, plan B. Couldn't find my jumper cables. I think they're in my car. I'm gonna try to find, you can see them, rounder stones like this. I'm gonna go walk around and just find the stones, odds and end size. I don't really want flat rocks in there. They'll probably look just as fine, but personal reference, I'd rather have these rounder stones. Buckets! Yeah! You guys see what I just did there? It's probably going to be the best part of the video right here. Picking up rocks. I heart you guys for watching. Buckets! Yeah! One bucket filled up. Now it took about 20 minutes to fill that bucket up. Holy smokes. I'm gonna have to go get me some recruits. Okay, so you're gonna help me pick rocks.
I don't care.
Okay, you're gonna help me pick rocks then? Alright, let's go. You don't care? Who knew that a bucket full of rocks would be this heavy? Oh my gosh! Come on, watch out.
I knew, because it's rocks. Think of the rocks. Yeah, you gotta carry fast on these rocks and even the rocks. Well, day 2 of picking stone.
I did get a late start yesterday. It was about 6:30 when I actually got down into the creek to pick a stone out. It's about noon right now, so I got about 4.5, 5 hours. No help today. Kids don't want to come down here and pick anymore. And I don't really blame them because it is a slow, boring process. And then got about that much rock. They're all different sizes, all the way down to like almost like a pea size. But anyways, I'm going to jump back into get more stones picked, so begin stone picking montage. Alright, buckets number 3 and 4 are done. And although that might have looked like 3 minutes on camera, that took just over an hour to finish to fill both of those buckets up. And I know what you guys are thinking. You're probably thinking, hey, why didn't I just use the loader behind me, just come down in here and scoop it out? Well, 2 reasons. 1 being it's illegal, and 2, then I would have had to go and pick all the bigger rocks and the flatter rocks that I didn't want along the edge of the pathway out. So that's why I did that. And also, in case you were wondering, I am staying hydrated still. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this hydration, then take this up and get it dumped in there. Get it spread out, get an idea how much more I need to go, how many more buckets I need to fill. Alright, that's about 10 feet right there. And I got an overall of just under 25 feet. So 4 buckets got me to 10. Another 4 will get me to 20. So probably about another 5 buckets to go. Whee! Probably about another 5 buckets to go. On this side, I'm just going to put in some gravel. But I'm not even going to bother putting any weed barrier down. I've never had any luck with that garbage. If I have to pull weeds in the future, that's fine. I'll do that. This is a long, tedious process. But as you can tell, the results are looking good. So it's well worth the time and effort to do this. Well, I underestimated how many more buckets I needed to finish this off. I actually ended up putting 6 more in here, and in total that is 10 buckets. And I'm no mathematician, but by my calculations that equals about 3 million stone. Well, at least it felt like 3 million stone anyways. I mean, that took me a good amount of time to go down there and pick out. And once I got in the groove of things, it was pretty smooth and it was actually relatively calming. But we're not finished yet. We still have to get up around the grill there. But I am going to call it a day right now because I am pretty exhausted. That did take about 5 hours getting the rest of those buckets, maybe 5.5 hours. So I'm going to call it a day right now. And well, day number 3 working on this. I went up to Lowe's. I got some timber screws for these landscaping timbers. So, did go ahead yesterday and grabbed all of the stone that I needed. I think all the stone that I needed anyways. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge putting them all together because they're all different sizes, different thicknesses. But it should look good when it's done. I also went and grabbed a mortar mix while I was up there for the joints. And as you can tell, they're all different sizes, different thicknesses. But before I start these timbers, I gotta get this area cleaned out of here. Now that all that's moved, I can go ahead and start cutting my timbers here. And, you know, what a perfect spot to put my table, right where all the trip hazards are. I'm going to go ahead and start with this back one here. I'm going to have to go one more high all the way around. All I did here was just drill 2 holes so I could get those 2 ground spikes in. I knew that was going to take long. That took about maybe 10 minutes. That's all done. Now the fun part. I think I'll start there and just work my way well, wherever it takes me, because I don't really have a plan. So, what's up? All right, I found the one. Biggest one here. Oh, that was heavy. I got the rock slid into place, and as you can tell, it's about 1 inch high. So I'm gonna move it out of the way. Probably gonna have to cut this edging out too, so I can get it down flat. Well, flat enough with the pavers. That's looking pretty good there. Gotta get these corners packed in. Alright, on to the next one. You can really tell the difference now. Different size rock there are. Well, it's definitely proving to be very, very tricky. There's a lot of picking the rocks up, flipping them, twisting them, turning them. A lot of that, but my personal opinion, I actually really like the way this is turning out. That rock's not staying there, by the way. That's 1, 2, and 3 rocks that I have left. So I'm definitely gonna have to take a trip out to the woods and get some. The last melon going in. Well, I know it doesn't look like much now, but once the mortar gets put in there, it'll tie everything together. And by the way, I did fix my bottom step. I don't like how that little stone is there, but try as I might, I could not get a stone to fit the way I liked it. So unfortunately I had to go like that, but it still looks pretty good. And some of these bigger cracks here, I will go around and get little stones, put some mortar below it, just piece it in there, just so the mortar isn't, you know, that gappy, I guess. I don't know how else to call it. That was a process doing. Definitely made my mind work. Obviously, I'm not dealing with straight angles. It was all randomized stone that I pulled from the woods here. But well worth it. In the end, once I get the mortar in, it's going to look really good. I'm not even sure if I got the right mortar mix, honestly. But I bought it, and this is what I'm going to use. All you masonry folks out there, if you're watching it, if I use the wrong stuff, feel free to let me know, but this was the cheapest bag anyways. That was probably way too much, but we'll start with that. Smooth like peanut butter. That ought to do it. Wow, you guys, this turned out extremely well. I could not be happier with the way this looks. This is exactly how I pictured it in my mind. Now, if this was a patio that I was going to be utilizing to sit at and entertain, I definitely would have never chose these stones. There are some lips and gaps and dips and hoops and whatever going on in there, but that's okay. I like the way it looks, and it's just going to be for the grill. That's all it's going to be for. So, but maybe I'll end up tripping on one of those little lips in the future. I don't know. And I might get critiqued on some of the techniques I used, but that's all right. Whether it's your first time or your 100th time, there's always going to be critics out there, but no more so than yourself. I think you're your own biggest critic. Unless, of course, you're the biggest. Well, I'll let you guys finish that. And on that note, I'm going to end the video here. So I'd like to thank every one of you for hanging out with me on this project. And I hope to see you all back on the next project. And until then, everybody just keep on keeping on.